Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream. We are going live this Friday, but we haven't sent out any emails. So if you didn't receive an email, not to worry. You didn't mess up. It didn't go into your junk mail. So not to worry. I didn't send out an email. I thought, hey, I'm just going to go live. See how many people show up. If they show up, great. We're going to record it anyway. So if you don't get to watch this when it's live, that's okay. You can watch the replay after. Just make sure that you throw some comments in there if you have any on Monday or Tuesday or whenever you decide to watch this live stream. And if you have any comments, put them in there. But hopefully we've got a few people that will show up. I'm just going to turn my volume down a little bit. All right. So the reason we didn't have this organized, that we didn't have the scheduled YouTube live stream set up and everything, was because of this vulnerability, this security alert that we sent out this week with regards to the security problem that ACT found with the versions of ACT. And so we have just been swamped with version 24 and 23, patching them for our clients and getting everybody kind of secure. And so we don't know a lot about the security. All we know is it is vulnerable to being hacked. And so we strongly, very strongly encourage that you get the patch and either have us update it or do it yourself or what have you. But make sure you get the patch. And if you're on an older version of ACT, version 21 or older, you're going to want to upgrade because of this vulnerability that is out there. And, it's... somebody had asked me, he said, well, why are they covered on version 21 and 20 and 19 and so on? It's because their obsolescence policy from ACT, where they only manage or support the current version and 2 versions after. And so if you go past those versions, then they're not obligated to build any patches or updates or anything. And that's been like that for years. So if you've got an older version, unfortunately, you'll probably have to upgrade into the newer version. Anyways, enough said about that. So I thought what I would do today, and I will have this all posted up by tomorrow, which is Saturday. I was planning on doing the live streams. I thought, I'll do it Saturday when it's not so crazy. But I thought, I'm going to squeak out a half an hour, maybe 45, and we'll just go through it anyway. And if somebody shows up, great. If not, that's fine. I've done my casual Friday on Friday. Let's see here. So there's 2 things I want to show you today. One is I alluded to it before, and I hadn't had it working on my machine because there was a glitch. Matt, the Wonder Boy, he figured out a way to do something with ACT that I didn't think it was possible. Anyways, he got this thing working the way we wanted it to work. And this is called CampaignManager. Let me just go. And for those of you who don't know me, I know that there's some people on the stream or maybe will watch the recording and say, well, who is this old fella? I'm Gary Robillard. I've been an ACT consultant for just about 30 years now. I've been in the CRM industry for must be about longer than that, but not much longer. ACT was really the first CRM program that I got into. I looked at a bunch of others. There wasn't a lot at the time. This was back in ACT came out in 87. I started in 91 working with CRM personally. And in 94, I got certified with ACT. Anyways, so let me flip over to my screen here. There we are. Oh, I'm not centered in there. All right, so first thing I want to show you is this marketing automation, or actually to go with marketing automation. We talked about this. I alluded to it a bunch of times previously. Especially with Bright Verify, this little app here. And for those of you who have a paid subscription of ACT Marketing Automation, you get this free. For those who don't, that are using the ACT Marketing Automation Basic, which comes with ACT, it's 29. I think it's just 29 even US dollars. If you're in Canada, we'll sell to you in Canadian. But you'll have to get a hold of us. If you go on the website, you'll pay in US dollars. $29, and it's a subscription base, so it's $29 annual. But you don't need it for everybody, just the people who need to see this information. It does two things. The first thing it does, when you install it, it allows you to... Oh, hang on, I'm looking on the right. There we are. What it does when you go in here, it will allow you to go in and verify. Will link to a Bright Verify account. So you'd set up a Bright Verify account, and what this will do is it will link to Bright Verify and then send back all the information of whether this email is valid or not. And you can see over here on the right-hand side here where it says email verification in this advisor template that I'm using. It will say, it's got accept all. And these are the different responses that will come back from Bright Verify. Valid, invalid, unknown, bounce. I'm not going to go through the details of what the other three mean. Obviously, valid and invalid are pretty straightforward. But I'm not going to go into those in this particular video. I just want to touch base on the actual dashboard part of this. But it has this link into Bright Verify to verify email addresses. That in and of itself, because what you'd have to do if you didn't have this and you wanted to use something like Bright Verify or Unbounce, there's a few of them out there, you'd have to export your contacts out, import them in, run it through their system to see if those emails are valid or not. Email addresses are valid or not. And then you'd have to export it out of there and then import it back into ACT. A lot of work, and I can actually do this in a minute or so, and I can do like hundreds of them. It's really cool. So that's the first piece. The second part that you haven't seen yet is when you click on the campaign results on the navigation bar, it will actually show you, different than the dashboards that you get with ACT. Right? So the one that comes with the ACT Marketing Automation, this is a little bit different. I wanted something really simple, something I could just go in and really see really quickly. And it's got 4 panels in here. One is you choose the campaign that you sent out. The other one will show you some graphical responses to that, how many people unscribed, bounced, complained, how many were sent, opened, and clicked. And then it will show you a thumbnail of what was sent out. And then at the bottom here, it'll actually show the results. So you can actually see how many opens they had, how many clicks they did, when this was, the URL that they clicked. You want to view the email. I mean, it's already there, so you don't really need to see this. But this is what's on that table. And then bounced, unbounced, and complained, you'll actually be able to see all of that information in there. And also, an important part, when you're using the ACT Marketing Automation and somebody bounces or somebody unsubscribes, it doesn't go back into the ACT layout. It's in a table that you don't even actually see, and you actually have to go into the marketing automation to go and actually see the unbounced, or maybe do a group to try to find those people. One of the things we built in, because I'm lazy, one of the things we built in just to make it easier is in the settings, we can actually, okay, that's the wrong one. Where did I put it? I might have the older build on this. I think I have the older, no, that's the verification. Oh, I know where it is. It's up here in settings. Up here in settings, up in the top right-hand corner, when you go into this, it will actually say, well, if they unsubscribe, right, which field do you want to fill it in? And so in mine, it's called Castle Consent. Let's go find it. There it is. Castle, right there. And then what value would you want to put in there? We'll say opt out if they do. So when the campaign goes out and it puts it in this marketing table and you don't get to see it, what it's going to do is it's going to actually ping back and push it right into the main layout of ACT. So what it will do is if they let's say bounce or unsubscribe, it's going to update it in the field where it normally doesn't. it's hidden in a table that you don't even see. But it's going to bounce back and it's going to say, hey, what did they do? Did they opt in? Did they opt out? Did they bounce? What's the skinny on this? And so this is really a really powerful thing when you're in here, is to set this one little component up to say, okay, if they unsubscribe, what field do you want it to go to, and what value do you want to put in there? If they bounce, what field do you want it to put in there, and what response do you want to have in there? So I think that's a really powerful way of looking at it. So hopefully, if you're not using this, if you've got a paid subscription, I think there's a trial. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Matt if there's a trial. I don't have my co-pilot with me today, Jared. He's up to here with all of this craziness that's going on with this security alert. And so let's move over to the other thing I want to talk about, and this has been something that's come up quite a few times. Jared is in there. Happy Friday. Hey, Jared. That's cool. I must have closed that other window down. I was going to pop you up on the screen here. So what I was going to do is I've had a lot of requests for this lately of people wanting to get a little more granular into doing groups. I did groups just before Christmas, showing people how to create a group list so that they could send an email blast out for their Christmas cards. But people have been using groups for other reasons, and I've had some requests for this. So I'm going to show you how to take advantage of groups. And I'm going to get fairly granular with this, and I'm going to show you where you can pull data from in several locations. Let's go over to groups. All right. And Nathan's on there too. Hey, Nathan. Let's see here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through groups. I'm going to talk about the two types of groups you can create. You can create static groups where you manually add somebody to a group or remove them from a group. Way too much work, unless you're doing like golf buddies. And what that means is you're just choosing randomly people that you want to add to a group or remove from a group. And then there's dynamic groups. Dynamic groups is based on field information. And field information is any of the fields that you may have. Now, again, I'm using the advisor layout, and it's got like a SCAD, that is a technical term, a SCAD of fields that you could actually use to be able to pull people into a group or use it for whatever purpose. And so in here we can just pull all of this information in and populate groups based on that. And it can come from several tables in ACT. So think of a table. There's 4 main tables, and then there's what we call subtables that you can add with additional software to the system. So for an example, a table is kind of like if you've got a workbook in Excel and you've got different screens, those are be like tables, as an example. So you've got the contact table, the group table, the household or company table. In most people's places, not household, we've relabeled that. Company table, and then you have the opportunity table. Those are the 4 main tables. And then it can pull from subtables. So in this case, if I let's go to Todd Miller, and I promise I am working, I do have another demo machine set up. I just haven't, I'm trying to think of a vertical market that I want to create a demo template. So this one is financial advisors. I want to do another one, but I'm not sure what to do. I thought automotive industry, I've thought about accountants. So if you've got any ideas that you'd like to share, throw them in the comments of, hey, I'd like to see one in this industry. I want it kind of a mainstream industry. I'm not going to do real estate because commercial or residential real estate, I've done that before. I've done so many custom ones, it's crazy. But there's so many nuances to that. So something that just makes sense to everybody. All right, where was I? I was actually, oh yeah. So, and then the other one is subgroups, and I'm on Todd Miller's record. So if I go over here to life insurance, for an example, this is what we call not a subgroup, a subtable. And this with an additional software, you can add subtables on, so you can track information that is connected to a contact, company, or I think you can do it groups too. Can't remember now. I've never done it with groups, but I think you can. I'd have to ask Matt on that. So anyways, what we do from here is we can pull from all of this information, any of fields that would be, let's say, in here. I can also use those to populate a group. Now, a group cannot pull from companies. That's one thing a group cannot do. It can pull from contacts, it can pull from opportunities, and it can pull from subtables, but it cannot pull from companies, okay? Just so you're aware of that. All right, so let's go in. I'm going to show you a group, just to give you an example, and I'm going to build a couple of groups. So first of all, I'm going to go to, this is no critical illness, no CI, over 55 years old. And so what we've done here, this is the static one where you manually go add somebody in or take them out. And this actually, when you're doing marketing automation, what I highly recommend is when you create a group that you're going to send a campaign out to, manually add yourself to the group or someone else that needs to see this email. So for an example, I'm logged into this as Gary Robillard. So let's just type in Robillard. There we are. And I'm going to double click, press OK. So I'm going to show up. There I am. So I'm showed up here. So I'm going to get it as well as anybody else I manually put to this group. But the rest of the people down here in the dynamic part will only come in if they match certain field criteria from different tables in ACT. And so in this case, they're all coming from the contact table. You can see on the left-hand side. And then each one has, do they have critical illness? False. If it's true, then they wouldn't be put in here. So it would have to be unchecked for that to pop in. Let's go into edit this. And then we've got contact type equals client. And then we've got greater than 55 years old, equal to or greater than 55. They have an email address. And email verification means it's not invalid. So does not contain invalid. And that way we can send it out to them. And then that's how that populates the group. And then the group can be used for a number of different things. It could be used maybe as a call list. It could be used as marketing automation because that's how marketing automation sends out the email blast. And just a plug in here too, for all of you that have the ACT software that are on a subscription of ACT, you have the basic version of the ACT marketing automation. Highly recommend that you spend a little bit of time investigating that. I will be doing a webinar in, it's actually not a webinar, it's a workshop in May going through this in detail. On how to use the marketing automation, but it is super powerful, and the people who use it have had really good success with regards to retaining clients, bringing on new clients. There's a whole bunch of stuff which we'll get in another time. But you can see here, there's a lot of different reasons that you may want to have a group, and so let's walk through how to populate a group and pull people in. So I'm going to create a new group. And you've got two different types of groups. You can create groups and subgroups. So I'm just going to create a group which would be in this main list. Subgroups you'll see here have a plus, and so you can go several levels down on a subgroup. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to pop in a name. We're just going to call these opportunities. Let's call this Gary's. Gary's opportunities, and I'm just going to press save so that it pops on the side. Now, little tip, if you want to have it at the top, put some zeros in. You know, you see I've numbered these ones like this so that they're in an order that I want. And so you can actually mess around and throw numbers or different things in. ZZZ puts it at the bottom, as you can see there. And I'm just going to press save, and you'll see this pop into there. There, Gary's opportunities. So I'm going to go over here to the add remove contacts. This is where you populate it. And again, just for my sake, because it's opportunities, I really don't need to put anything in the static. But if I was going to market to Gary's opportunities, like use the ACT marketing automation, then I would put me in here and maybe someone else that also wanted to see the email that gets sent out. But in this case, for this particular one, no, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to use the dynamic membership. I'm going to go to edit, and we're going to go over here. Instead of the contacts, we're going to go over here to the opportunity table. And you've got two tables for the opportunity. You got the product table, and so if there were certain products that you wanted to track, who's actually looking at a specific product, you could use that. I don't know if a lot of people use the products part of the opportunity. In fact, a lot of times I'll ask, are you using opportunities, and I get the not using it. So highly recommend that too. So I'm going to go in here, opportunities, and what I want to do is I want to find all the ones that are status equals, let's see, equals to. Now this doesn't drop down. Now status is whether they're open, closed, that sort of stuff. You only want the open ones. So I think the value is 0. I think it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Add to list. Let's just see what we get. Yep, so 0 is the open ones. So just to verify that, let's go over here, press OK, and we're just going to pull up this group, and we're going to go to Wendy Bass, and we're going to go over to our opportunities, and this should be, and you see status open. So just a little note that you may want to write down as you're doing this is when you're creating the opportunity, and you are going to use or you're going to create a group, sorry, and you're going to use the opportunities, and you want to actually find the ones that are open or maybe the closed, you'll want to use the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they represent, if I go back over to the opportunities, they represent these four areas here. So 0 would be open, 0 would be open, closed would be probably 1, you'll have to test it. And then 2 would be closed, or 3 would be closed, and 4 would be inactive. I'm not sure on these two whether 2 and 3. I know that open was 0. So, anyways, I think you've got the handle on that one. The handle. Okay, so let's go back into Gary's opportunities. We're gonna kind of drill this down a little bit. Edit criteria. So we've got the opportunity here, and so now what we want to do is say, okay, what other criteria that we want to filter here? We've got it based on opportunities. What else would we want to look at? So I could actually go into the fields. Let's do one more time. I know I'm jumping around here, but sorry. No, come on, Gary. Slow down. All right, you see this. Okay, back to opportunities. There we are. You see this little check mark radar. I'm just going to use this as an example. Maybe you've got some opportunities on the table that are high priority. Maybe they're high in dollar value. You could actually use the total value if it's between this and this. Or maybe I've added this into this particular template as a radar. So if I was looking at this one with Don Green and I said, okay, I got to throw that on radar. And maybe I only have a few that I'm kind of just watching, and I just want them on my radar list, if you will. Let's pick another one here. Just trying to find, I just pick anything. There we are. All right, so we picked 2. I'll pick one more. And you'll see these totals are really low. Again, demo database, so we don't have a lot of stuff in here. All right, so if I go back over to here and I say, okay, I'm going to edit the criteria, and I want to filter this again by opportunities. So we're going to move this down to opportunities, and I want it based on radar. And it's equal to true. Add to list. Now, let's go preview. And there's the 4 that I checked off. So you can see how this changes each time. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to remove that one. Preview, we're back up to 22. But this time I'm going to say, well, I'm going to email these guys. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to jump down to contact. I'm going to go to email. And they have to have an email address. And so I'm just going to put contains data. Means there's something in that email address field. Let's see how many we get. So we're going to go from 22 to 16. So only 16 of those opportunities to have in there have email. So you obviously want to go back and capture the rest of them, make sure you have email addresses for them. But in this demo database, you can see how we can drill down. Now, this is just one way of doing it. So there's Gary's opportunities, and it shows the people in there who have email addresses. Now the next one I want to show you is going to be a little bit more granular, and there's some syntax that you need to be aware of when you're creating a group. And so I'm going to create a group in here. I'm just going to do a new one, and I'm going to call this just test, just for an example. And we're going to go to edit criteria, and this is let's go back here. This is going to be a mailing one. We're going to do an email marketing thing to them, and so we're going to look for me, add me to the list, because I want to be part of that. So there, I'm going to be added up here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and say, okay, I want all the people, let's go to city. Actually, it's called business city, I think. Yep, business city. Let's say contains, and let's say Calgary. Add to list. Preview. So we got 23 in here that are in Calgary. Maybe we want to add Edmonton to this. I'm not sure if I've got any in Edmonton, but let's go back into here to business city. And we're going to contains Edmonton, add to list, preview. Now it went to 0. Okay, so why did it go to 0? Whenever you use the same field twice, because I'm looking at the city field and I'm trying to pull in people from Edmonton, bring people from Calgary, maybe from south here or Lethbridge, and I want to bring in, because I want to target a specific geographical locations, only specific cities in the province of Alberta. So what I need to do here is I want to put a bracket around this particular one, and this is called the syntax. And then what I probably want to do, depending upon what I'm doing, I'll either leave it at and, or I'll change it to or. So I'm going to go preview, and I get 27. See, so we jump from 22 to 27. If I had it at and press preview, I'm going to get 0 again. So there are certain types of fields that you can use the or the and, sorry, but most of the time, for normal fields like this, like city and province and postal code, that sort of stuff, you're going to use or. So it's looking for Calgary or Edmonton, add them to the list. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to pop them up. Let me just check and see if I've got any here before I go any further. No questions. All right, sorry. Okay, it's Casual Friday. We can take our time. All right, so hopefully this makes sense. Now, what I would probably add next was, because it's going to be an email, sorry, I'm going to add the email address. And by the way, you see me just jump. I just pressed E, clicked in the field, pressed E, and it'll jump to the E's. Email address contains data, add to list. Let's see, out of the 27. We got only 18. So I would have someone in my team go in and grab those other records that aren't in here and say, hey, go get their email address. We wanna shoost them out an email. All right. So you get the handle on what you're wanting to pull here as far as information, and then populate it into a group. Now, let me just quickly go through. So the syntax one is an important one when you're using the same field. There's other, depending upon what field type you use, there will be different what we call operators. And the operators will allow you to do different things. So if we pick a date field, like let's pick birthday. Banking birth date. All right. And so let's use some of these ones. So you've got equals a specific year, equals a specific year, within the next so many days, within the last so many days, on or before. Month equals, right? This one would be good for a birthday, because if you don't want to have them coming up based on date, so you could say month equals, and then you could say, and then you're using a number here, so month equals, let's use April 4. Add to list. I don't know if we've got anybody in here. Yeah, we got 3. And just see there, April, there's the birth date right there, April. So you could use, so there's so many different operators that you could use in here. You just have to kind of take your time and say, okay, what is it I want it to sift through when it's looking at that field? What specifically? Like I could have, say, contains data. I could say does not contain data. Now this particular one doesn't, oh yeah, there it is, does not contain data. Right? So if there's no data in there, add it to the list. So maybe I'm creating a group to clean up the database. I want to find all the ones that don't have an email address. So let's kind of show that. So this is, we'll leave that one the way it is. And so there's our group. We're going to add one more. Actually, let's create a, we're going to create a subgroup, but I'm going to just do a drag and drop. So test 2. And we're going to go over to criteria here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say pull up all the ones. I'm going to do data cleanup. So that's another reason for doing this. And does not contain data. Now, it does not contain, so you've got contains a specific word. Contains data means anything. Does not contain data means there's nothing in that field. Or does not contain a specific word in that. And so you could use that for the bounced and unbounced. So when you're sending out an email campaign, and which I'll show you after I do this one, you could do it where you're drilling down that way as well. Starts with, ends with. So we're going to do some data cleanup. So I want to find one's email address does not contain data. Add to list. Preview 52. And we got a lot. Now in there, I want to find also business address, ones that don't have an address. So I'm working on 2 things. I want to do the ones, and you may have a separate group for just ones that don't have an address. But business address 1, let's just say that, does not contain data. Add to list. And I don't have to do or because they are 2 different fields. So I don't have to put the syntax in there. And I got 42. So we went 52 down to 42 that don't have an email address, don't have an address. And so now I can actually click on OK. There's my list. And if I click on the little magnifying glass, that will take me to the lookup of the people. And you can see no address, no email. Oh, where's my email? There it is. No email. It doesn't have any of that. So now one of my team can actually call, make some inquiries, and find out is that person still there? What's their address? What's their email address? And get my database up to speed. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to do one specifically for marketing, and so I can show you how to use the Castle consent. This particular layout that I've got here, I've not added all the different fields that I normally would do in here. I've got Castle consent, or Castle. It's opt-in, opt-out. There's actually 4 fields that I would recommend for any kind of e-marketing. One would be Castle consent, yes or no, or opt-in, opt-out. The second would be Castle source. Where did you get the approval to use this? And so that would be another field I'd add in, and that can be, website, landing page, a phone call, a form, verbally, however you want to put in there, and then you'd put that in there. And there's one that you would add called implied consent, meaning they're a client and you've been emailing them within the last 6 months. And then the next one would be email verification And then the last one would be email status. So email status would be one that that you would use if it bounced. Email and bounced, and this is where it's coming in off of like the Bright Verify, or not off the Bright Verify, but coming in off the campaign. If it bounced or if they unsubscribed, that'll be one email status. And then email verification, that would be using Bright Verify to go out and check the validation of those email addresses and then give you a response with 4 different types of response verbiage. And so that's where we do. So, but I want to just quickly show you how you would do this with a group to make sure you've got everything kind of nailed down. All right, so we're going to create a new group. Oh, and this test too, if you want to create a subgroup for one, you can drag it and drop it, press OK, and now that's a subgroup. Now, if I want to make a subgroup of test, I can click on the little arrow beside new here, and then I'm going to go new subgroup. And I'm going to call this test 3. And then I'm going to go down to contacts. And we're going to go in here and say, okay, we want email address contains data. There we are. Add to list. We want under the let's say here castle. Did I pass it? There we are. And under castle, I want to be able to say, so here's where you want to choose. Do you want to have the ones that have the opt out? Let's say does not contain opt out. So it could be blank for all we know. And then that way in preview, let's see, we've got 60. So we've got 60 with email addresses and they're not opted out. Now we can drill this down a little bit further if we wanted to. We have, let's go down to castle again. So we got castle sort, or we could use like email verification. Let's do this. Email verification. This is the one that comes in from Bright Verify. So it's got like 4, I think 4 or 5, at least 4 responses that come back. So what we want are the ones that are, let's say, equals to valid. Let's add that to the list. And then we're going to go, now you could go the opposite and say does not contain invalid, does not contain bounced, but we're going to do it the opposite way. So I'm going to go back into here to e-marketing, email verification. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same things. Does not contain, did I say not contain? Equals to, sorry. Equals to, and then we're going to choose in. So there's 2 that I recommend when you're doing e-marketing is when you have used Bright Verify is valid and accept all. Unknown, invalid, and bounced, I would not send to those ones because unknown is literally that. It doesn't know. And I'm not going to go into the details. I'm going to do that next month. But I would say accept all and valid. So I'm going to add that to the list. Preview. Oh, I got the 0. And again, remember why? It's because I'm using the same field twice. So in this case, I'm going to put a bracket around here, a bracket around here, and let's preview it. No, why? It's because I didn't change this and to an or. And preview it again. There we go. Now we've got 10. So now we've got 10 in here. Now the only problem with this is if they were blank. So I'm going to add one more to this little syntax here, because what if there was that hadn't been filled in? There was not a valid or an invalid, right? From Bright Verify. Maybe I hadn't run Bright Verify, so I want to change that up. Again, I'm giving you examples, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but I'm giving you some examples. And again, next month I'll be talking about the 4 fields that I would recommend based on my experience in doing this. But let's add one more in here with email verification. And what we're going to do is in this one, Let's see here. Does not contain data. Let's add to that. So in this case, does not contain data. Let's take that off, and let's go in here, put the bracket around there, and change this one to or as well. So what it's saying is in here, and I know I'm going a little granular, but this is being recorded. So in here, I'm saying, okay, if it says valid, add them to the group. If it says accept all, add them to the group, meaning those two choices. And then if it contains, now I chose contains data. That's actually wrong. We don't want contains data because it could have bounced or invalid. So what we want to do is we want to have the ones that are blank. Actually, does not contain data would fill that, wouldn't it? Now that I'm thinking this through, meaning that there's nothing in there, it's blank. Yeah, so that would actually work. Let's preview it. I was right. That's exactly it. And there's a blank one right there. Email verification. See that? And based on the fields that you choose here, they will actually populate them here so you can actually see your results. So Castle is blank in some of the ones that we've got in here. And some of them it has, in the email verification, it's got both valid, blanks, and accept all. So we're all good. So that's how you can get granular on here with these groups. And you just have to decide what you want to use it for. You're going to use it for data cleanup. Are you going to use it for tracking your opportunities, tracking your prospects, tracking your clients in certain locations, tracking opportunities? Now the next one I'm going to show you, I'm going to do one more. I know I'm going over usually the half hour I've done it, but I'll do this really fast. And this one is for those who are using the subtables, either like this advisor template or they've purchased the table manager that we have separately, and they're using that. And I'll show that last one, and then we'll go from there. So that's that one there. So now I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to pull some stuff in. And again, this is more financial advisor-ish kind of a thing. But anybody that has a table, subtables, can do it this way as well. So one more group. Let's create a group. And we're going to call this, we're going to do another subgroup test 4. Subgroup. Test 4. And we're going to do this, and we're going to go over here. And so this shows all the tables that you have. And in this database, I've got lots of tables. I've got day manager. I've got, these are the different tables, the free for service, gifts. I've got a slew of them here. So I'm going to actually go in, and some of these ones you're actually not going to put on because these are custom fields that we built into here. But let's just say life insurance. And I want to find all the life insurance policies. Let's just choose a. You could use policy expiry date. You could pull policy duration. Any of the fields that you wish that you would like to pull from that particular table are available to you. So I want to pull in here it by carrier. And let's just say I want to pull all the ones that are equal to, and let's say Manulife. Add to list. Preview. We don't have any. Okay. I thought we had some in here with that. Okay, let's choose something. Let's try Great West Life. How about that? Okay, let's do this just to make this. We'll leave that group there. I'm going to go over to life insurance and see what we got. We got Manulife. Why is it not pulling up? I wonder if this database didn't get updated. We had a problem at one point where we had to update. I can't remember what it was because we couldn't pull contacts into groups that were into or subtables into groups based on some glitch that we had, but I thought this database was updated. Maybe not. I might not be able to show this to you folks. Let's just try it one more time. Knowing me, and it's a Friday and I'm tired, I might be doing something wrong. All right, let's go back over to life insurance. And let's go into carrier. And let's just go contains Manulife, add to list. No, not working. This database must not have been updated so that we could actually pull this in. This is the first time I've actually done this with this database. So imagine, if you will, this actually pulling up people who had Manulife. It would actually pull up the contacts that belong to that. So it's not going to pull up the policies or the subtable information. It's going to pull up the contacts that are associated to that particular table. And that's the same with opportunities. It's not pulling up the opportunities in the group. It's pulling up the contacts that are associated with that opportunity. So that's how the groups work. Any questions out there? Any questions? I just wanted to see if you've got any questions on what I've gone through. Maybe I was a little confusing in a little bit there, especially at this last, because I wasn't able to show you. I promise I will have Matt fix this specific database, because I've had this demo database for many years, so it probably just didn't get that table updated like the rest of them. And that's why I couldn't pull that group in. But I promise you, because we've done it with other clients, where we create the groups from like the insurance policies or whatever other subtables. It definitely works. All right, well, I don't see any questions. So that's it for today. Hopefully you have an awesome weekend. We'll be back next Friday with Casual Friday, and hopefully I'll have my co-pilot Jared with me, and we'll have some new stuff for you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather. It's snowing here, or at least it was trying to a little bit before. So hopefully you're in a little bit warmer place than where we're at, and then we'll meet up next Friday, and we'll have some more tidbits for you. So have a great weekend, and relax, take it easy, and enjoy yourself. Bye for now. Oh, I couldn't do my outro. So we're just going to end it like this. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. Bye for now.